Bar Concept Tutorial 2 is on how to progress and change your routine when you've finished doing the week 5 lesson plan. So as a rough guide, in a Bar Concept 1 hour class, you've got a 6 to 7 minute warm up. You also have a 6 to 7 minute cool down. So there's 15 minutes of the class already taken up. Really, in my opinion, to call it a bar class, at least half of the class should be performed at the bar. So ideally 30 minutes, which leaves 15 minutes for the floor work. If you're intending to do a 45-minute express class, you've still got to have the warm up and cool down, which is still 15 minutes of the class. That only leaves 30 minutes. Now you can just do 30 minutes at the bar, or you can do 20 minutes at the bar and 10 minutes on the floor, just to accommodate and change around the timing and format. So let's take the warm-up section. Now the warm-up is functional, which means it's not a progressive thing. It has a purpose, and that purpose is to take someone from outside in the cold and warm up their body by mobilizing the major joints and increasing their heart rate. So for that reason, it's not progressive, it's functional. So I would tend to change the warm-up every 2 to 3 months, and then I would bring in a whole new warm-up routine. There are lots of warm-up routines online for you as an instructor member. The cool down is also similar. Again, it's a short section, 6 to 7 minutes, and it's also functional. So in that reason, it's not progressive. It serves a purpose, and that purpose is to take someone after the end of the class and really stretch out all the major muscle groups that they've used within the class. So it's functional. So again, for that reason, I change that every 2 to 3 months. The floor section, which is only 15 minutes long, you'll notice this is the longest section in the manual, so there's lots of choices to have. I pretty much keep it maybe 80 to 90% abdominal based exercises because you've used the major leg muscles at the bar. I might also put in an upper body or a back exercise, and generally have around 5 exercises on the floor or thereabouts. So it's a 15-minute section, and I would change that section pretty much weekly or fortnightly. Rotate the exercises. Remember, it's the easiest section to teach because there's no transitions, no choreography. You finish one movement, change position, count them down, and start the next movement. So it's fairly basic. So that leaves the bar section, which is really the most important section. So from your 30-minute bar section, let's assume it's week 6 and your clients have learned the week 5 lesson plan routine. So taking that 30-minute bar section, take out a 10-minute chunk from that 30 minutes, and let's call that chunk A. Take that out, go to the online workouts, and then click on bar sections, and you will see there's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30-minute bar sections. Choose a 10-minute bar section, rehearse that, and then add that in. So they have 20 minutes of what they know and 10 minutes of something that's brand new. Because if you're changing the routine every single week, it's very difficult for them to get to grips with, especially in the early stages, with anything new. So in the early stages initially, then give them something that they do know so they get to grips with it and they start to feel familiar. And with that familiarity brings a certain sense of competence. You know, they feel like they've achieved something. It also gives you the opportunity as a teacher to devote more time to their form and their technique, to give more teaching points, because if they're familiar with the routine, you don't have to cue as much. So you can focus more on their form and technique. But at the same time, it's not getting boring because they've got a new 10-minute chunk to get their teeth into, and that's something new and, you know, adds a little bit of spice. And I would run with that for 2 to 3 weeks. Then take out another 10-minute chunk. Let's call that chunk B. Again, go to the online workouts, rehearse a new 10-minute chunk and insert that. And again, run with that routine for 2 to 3 weeks. And then take out the final 10-minute chunk, let's call that chunk C, and add in a brand new 10-minute chunk. So now the whole routine over a period of weeks has now changed. And again, run with that for 2 to 3 weeks, and then take out the oldest 10-minute chunk A, and just keep repeating that. And if you feel more confident, you can do a longer chunk, 15-minute chunk or a 20-minute chunk. And that's how we would advise to change the routine. So the clients have something new that they can, get excited about and start to learn. But they've also got something that's familiar to them, where they feel that they've got a sense of achievement, a certain sense of competence, and a sense of familiarity. You are, of course, free to change it any way you wish. You can freestyle completely if you're used to doing that and are used to doing choreography, and you can make it up as you go along. And obviously, the longer you spend on one side without a break, the more advanced the clients have to be, because you're burning one side, you're fatiguing it. The downside of that is when you turn people around, if you are freestyling and it's a long section, you may have forgotten some of the movements. So also bear that in mind. So you are free to change it entirely how you would like to change it. This is just a recommendation and what has worked for us and our teachers, particularly in the early stages.